Welcome to a late IHP show with your very own 5D mystic here, ready to chit-chat some more about feminine and masculine, how we embody authority, love, and spirituality. So the individuals who embody completely their wholeness, they will know of being loving, wise, direct, unconditionally loving as inner child adults. So we get to live that life of meaning beyond the solo self, and we get to have an open heart because we know how to self-regulate and to be in our restorative embodiment self. So awareness, accountability, and regulation come with the open-heartedness that I got to learn from Jesus, and then I got to keep choosing that heart body and value body. So when you understand, because you know words, but then you also have the wisdom, and then you also have the embodying that knowledge, raise your hand. Okay, so when I heard of 5D, I remember getting really excited because it's Christ consciousness, and I love Jesus. I love his unconditionally loving story, what I got from catechism. I know that unfortunately we have those who are within the rigid, unforgiving minds and brains of the non-bilaterally integrated. So we leave alone those who navigate the shame cycle. They actively want to keep shaming humanity, and they actively bow down to people and masters and stuff like that, okay? We don't bow down or up or anything like that. When you are a person who has faith, you understand, I got, again, taught basic commandments. Don't play God, respect mother, father, don't take from others. So these stay the same, but they don't need all the extra stuff. The extra stuff are stories from the past that they are actively trying to continue to implement in the present. So we have 3D, 4D, and we have different groups. Again, the shame cycle is because there's a 3-year-old, those first 3 years of your life count. So the ones who don't want to believe in this information, they say, find it hard to believe. They don't know about the embodied brain. You try explaining it to them, they think you're making a big deal. You say, you know what, I think that some scientists chase people down the hallways. I'm not science, I'm a spiritual lady. So technically I'm already woo. So yeah, okay, and they don't. So people who don't laugh, yes, we leave alone those unempowered individuals. Okay, so with that being said, 5D is fun. I'm fun too. If you're unconditionally loving, then you're going to hang around. And if you are not, you probably like, no, she's a stupid lady. It's okay. I am a stupid lady. But I'm a lady that's a 5D mystic. So I'm a feminine, by the way. I have masculines, and they're awesome. And I've always known my masculines will lead me to more. And then when you find masculines who are masculines, that's when you have a pair. You know who you are, and you know who they are. Now, when you won't tell them, no, yes, there's something fun about being a person that is empowered. It's called the inner child adult of every feminine out there. They're smiling with me. They don't have to be a woman. They just know they know something called love. Love, 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 na 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 na. Love, 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 dee 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 dee. Love. So, anybody, it's easy. All you have to do is love and play the game. So we get to play the game with love because some of us don't have shame. So those feminines are 5D feminines, and 5D masculines also, they will have gotten out of shame completely. So they join us in the land of the living. They have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old that has a whole heart, and we say high five, and we say narratives. Nobody owns them. And we love books, and then we get to look at them. And like 3-year-olds, we won't rip them because we're not actively 3-year-olds. But say, you know what? I have an adolescent brain, and I'm a grown-up, and I have a whole 3-year-old heart, and I'm not dismantling the past. I'm saying we're in the present. So I'm going to put that book to the side and say I got all the golden nuggets I needed. Plus we have 4D, 3D living it out, so they get to keep the memories alive of our ancestors as we watch from afar because they won't come near us. Okay, so that's fun, isn't it? It's okay. Solo polyamory community, come on over. And polyamory, completely securely attached, please, because the ones who are not securely attached, well, we have news for you. Some people, they actively do a lot of different things when they're not securely attached, not just polyamory. Monoamory actively call us unfaithful when they have no secure attachment. It is really funny. But again, for us, For them, it's not funny. We have cooties or kudos or whatever those words are, basically. So anyways, it is what it is, right? I wanted to read to you all something from Sadhguru. He shares a symbol on his one of his YouTube pages, Sadhguru Sadhana. And it's to understand the forms of Shiva. And then there's this word Ardhanarishvara. And he says, this is a symbolism to show that if you evolve in your ultimate context, you will be half a man and half a woman, not a neuter, a full-fledged man and a full-fledged woman. That is when you are a full-blown human being. So he's talking about embodying the restorative embodiment self, so integration of the brain. I learned all about how we are in our inner well-being and outer well-being when we're in this. You can buy a book. There's a book on restorative embodiment. And there's also courses for integration of the brain. And so being a feminine, though, I know what he's talking about because I know how a masculine will complement me. Okay, so we're going to talk again about energy. So it doesn't have to be woman or man, but for me, I'm a woman feminine and I'm fully embodying the nurture that I am. So when I'm with a masculine that is fully embodying their masculine, but they have to be of my oversoul. Okay, so this is the part of where the truth be told. Again, remember that your host here is a mystic. So I come to you with knowledge, but I come to you as a channeler. I just don't make it sound like I'm doing some big whoop to do. The beauty of alchemy, it's when your vessel is pure, means you have no trauma charges. You got trauma charges, you're not going to be a pure vessel, you're going to be a broken heart, and in fact, your line of communication is disrupted. You just don't know it because you're still going to be channeling, because you're still part of the sphere of energy. The good therapists and the good neuroscientists and the ones who actively know 97% of what is out there is unavailable to us, but they don't go using AI to try and disprove reality or to disprove God or to disprove free will. They actively use their time to work on things that can support each other. And then we have the ones who like to, disprove and use words. We love creativity. That's why nobody gets pissy in their pants over here, because that's what smart people, why would we get pissy? We mindfully can participate to all activities with an open heart and an open crown, because that's exactly what a mature and empowered man and woman and they will do. It's called, again, so mystic here, and that's why when I am here as a clear vessel, you're doing Dharma because you're having your prefrontal cortex, means you're curious, open, accepting, and loving as an inner child adult who's a functional adult, who's a somatic empath. You don't have triggers. You don't have low self-esteem. You don't have Cusco attitude. You don't dysregulate. Okay, so you know how to tap into matrix too. Okay, so as a 5D mystic, I have a lot of fun with my oversoul. And even in the most darkest of moments, I knew that all that I was getting to experience was expanding me. Okay, so I knew it here and here and here. And the part that makes me laugh is a couple of moments. When I got to move out of 4D completely, which actively Patrick McNamara, he's a neuroscientist, he talks about the decentralization of the self and how it works. And so I got from his information, okay, neuroscientists know how to explain what I got to experience. It was in like a fraction of not even 10 seconds, probably like 10 of the milliseconds. The esoteric lady described it as once you move out of the 4D bandwidth, but she gives you all of these stories that make you think some shit's going down that ain't going down that way for a 5D mystic at least. The 4D, it's different because they actively are not grounded in their humanity yet, because their inner child did not get tended to by the 4D body type. And so that means their brain could use more integration. That means good therapy, and that means the will to heal what is unresolved. The first 3 years of life, they matter. And then in the belly, by the 7th month, it matters. Okay, so while there are human beings out there wearing spirituality mantles and mental health mantles, that means they just romanticize or demonize, they do all or nothing. So as we actively know that people who care about their life with the information that is out there, they could be 4D mystics, they will be heading to good therapists so that they can get their window welcome expanded, window tolerance, to window welcome. because they'll actively know they're in pseudo-aliveness if they've learned information and care about their self and humanity. Because obviously you won't be optimizing your life if you're not able to get out of those ruminating patterns and structural dissociation. And so when you see the angry squirrel, yes, I've seen it. I've seen people say, I'm working with my shadow side. One time I saw this person who was totally like, what do you think? You can get me? You can get me? And they're actively on screen. And then there's others who, again, with clairs throughout my years, I have had an abundance of beautiful human beings in my life. Masculines are not impressive to a feminine because they actively do not know how to handle their emotional plane. Feminines do, and the ones who are not feminines to a feminine like me, they actively turn into squirrels, and they don't take a note and say, wait. And when you share with people information, that's why we have people in our herd, right? Here's how people deflect when you give them empowering information on how to want to take your inner child, bring them back online, and get securely attached. I find it hard to believe. No, they don't believe it at all. So when masculines or feminines are not looking to behold, they don't become true authority, they don't learn true love, they in fact don't embody true spirituality, and that's because they don't plan on bringing to earth their beautiful whole integrated brain. They don't root it in. They reject to use their third eye to take a look at their lovely divine feminine again, and then create integration from the emotions that arise. Emotions, sensations, all of that. Okay, so when sensations arise and emotions and anything, if you're projecting it, you're not welcoming it, you're not embodying more of you. And so that's why I understand the full-fledged, empowered masculine, they know exactly what a feminine will need. They will actively provide that. Full-fledged feminine will know actively what a masculine will need, and they will provide it. And that will be, you are beautiful just the way you are, because the feminine nurtures you into your active beingness, but you have to choose yourself. If you don't, then the feminine will have just wasted her time, which she will know, but it will not have been an actual waste of time because I got to do something. I got to actively learn something about myself. And you will have helped me, therefore, to actively expand. So it wasn't a waste of time. And that's why an empowered feminine or masculine, woman or man, will always look to the past and look to their relationships and say, wow, I got to learn to love more. I got to learn to be more of what I already am embodying. I'm an emotional being first. My thoughts come after. Nobody owns words. Nobody owns anything when it comes to storytelling. And I will be sure to share this with you all again. And anytime you have anyone who starts to get pissy in their pants, leave it alone. You got a non-bilaterally integrated brain. Or, better said, I learned to have fun with it because I was a teen when I noticed that these people would just get all pissy in their pants. I'm like, why are you getting pissy in your pants? I'm not trying to change your mind actively. You can't change my mind. I'm not trying to change your mind. I got told to mind my own business, and that was because of my tone and because I was going around telling people how to live life, because, you know, teenagers, we tell each other everything about how to do things. It's called black and white thinking. And when they told me that, I was like, you know what? I think they're right. I'm going to stop, because if they tell me to live life based on their terms, I'm not going to do it. That's making me a hypocrite. You know what? Thanks for that. So when you're, again, empowered, anyone will take feedback and they will look at their self. It's a solo self that you own. So you don't have an identity, you have a name. And you look at your personality traits. I'm a person who has a tone. I still have that tone. So sometimes people will present it to me. And so I try to gauge the territory and notice, is my tone, because some people are more sensitive than others. So I actively know who I want to ask so that I can ensure that I'm getting feedback from those who are empowered. Because see, I'm not going to work on anything if the person who's informing me of my tone is actively sensitive. means that you are sensitive, means you don't take your inner child seriously, means you are not empowering yourself and you actively are projecting your low self-esteem, insecurity upon my tone. But I will double check with those lovely individuals. So here's my masculines, the empowered ones. I don't need the feminines because I'm a feminine. The feminines don't need me when they're empowered. If they're not empowered, then I will be able to serve as an example of what a true feminine is here to do, which is not to capture and to, good boy, good girl. No, that actively is the distorted feminine. And when I see them, I learned how to mind my own business because I actively know that it is personal because they're a representative of a distorted energetic imprint of what a feminine is meant to not be. But they, like the distorted representation of the masculine, have trauma charges, insecurities, low self-esteem. So they're codependents. And they don't go to good therapy. And they want to tell us that love is drama and torture chamber shit. No, it's not any of it. Actively love is when you are a healthy self-worth, securely attached person, which is why a grown-up can unconditionally love another grown-up. It's called when you're enough of information, of no demons, no Lucifer. I can have compassion, understanding what adaptive and maladaptive child behavior patterns come from. Because scientists explain it really well, and I learned all about it. So a human being who wants to tell me, one, they're a feminine, if they don't unconsciously love, they're not a feminine. Masculines, they learn to get out of shame and to become their own person. That's why they get the short end of the stick, because they don't have the actual capacity to share who they are yet until you say, excuse me, stop putting people on pedestals. You're beautiful the way you are. The minute they say, how dare you, is the minute you know you got a edgy masculine who doesn't actively yet have the embodied divine feminine they can be, because they didn't stand up for themselves. They stand up for books. And there's a role for that. Again, it's called when our ancestors would kick each other out of the herd, then they'd end up in they'd get eaten. And actively, I'm thinking right now about this one anthropologist. He went to interview it was a group of people that are not affected by other cultures, and they actively only have the young boys who represent a threat to the ecosystem of their capacity to live well and happily. And it's because the boys get egoic in their ego, this little edge, which is actively what I have noticed of any ego. But again, it has a different energetic imprint when it's a masculine, so they get cocky in a very stupid way, might I add, because angry circuit is going to dumb you down. You're not even going to know what you're doing. The feminine gets, like I said, angry in the squirrel way, which you will also notice. So whenever I've had that, I've noticed it. So it's a different energetic imprint because we are, again, I'm going to give you gender, but it's not gender, but the reality is we are weaker physically. There's no other way to put it. So you're going to, and in your nurturing, you're trying to protect. I mean, this is that part of where I can perceive it. It's actively, I'm going to pull back, try to find somewhere to go and hide. In the meantime, a masculine's going to have to stronger. He's stronger than I am. Okay, so again, please, we all know that people are taking all those conversations to extremes. That's why when Sadhguru shares what he shares, I understand what he's saying. There is the neutral energetic imprint, though. I have perceived that. I know what it feels like. But I don't know people personally in my life that have embodied it. They always have more of one or the other. So there's an edge. And this is, again, from my personal mystic channeling and what I perceive. So again, you all have your own. If you're feminine, if you have clairs, if you're clear, vessel means you have unconditional love, then you're not distorting or tainting with your own human stuff. And so that's what you want to know. The human stuff means your implicit bias, explicit bias, your culture. You try to put it to the side, but at the same time, you know you're still there. So Maria's still here. I'm actively going to share with you food for thought and anything channeled with me, participant. For as much as you can zero it out, you still are here. It would be me lying to you. It feels complete like a lie to say I'm not here. No, I am here. I can know that sometimes I'll have words that I didn't choose, but I still did. So long story short, to me, authenticity means that I'm objectively aware of all the multidimensional being that I am. Maria's still here. I have 44 years of age in this body, besides everything from the past. Okay, so anyone who wants to make themselves out to be something that basically you only see in those who are not empowered. So I'm going to leave that to the side. And what I was trying to say is that the threat to the ecosystem is the cockiness and the dysregulated and distorted versions of masculines and feminines. At the same time, while 4D and 3D think that we need to save, based on their distortion, a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and anyone who's of the 5D collective knows this word is not applicable. We want to cooperate, we want authority, we want our world to keep on working together. So you stay grounded and you understand we each play a very important role into trying to get our countries and our cities and our neighborhoods and our families. Every person plays a role because we are affecting each other every day, living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. That's true spirituality. Love. I love you unconditionally. Unconditionally means that you can present yourself to another. It doesn't mean you have to take shit. No, it means that you can speak. Information is what helps you to know nobody's possessed by a Lucifer, a demon, If you don't want to believe in sciences, then go and be with the other people that are sciences that actively don't believe in their own colleagues. And so there's definitely different subject matter experts. Again, the narratives. They're not owned by anyone. They're written. And sciences, they actively continue to look into more. They're building data all the time. And so if you got qualitative analysis, it's not quantitative, number one. Number two, if you're listening to podcasts and like here, this subjective opinion lady, I'm not in the lab. I'm not giving you a report. You're not going to be finding a 70-page or 300-page thing. And if you are, then you're going to know there's more of it. So the part about... Again, people who get on a screen and say, I was from here, and 1% of this, and anybody who's falling for that actively is a human being who doesn't know what data is. Otherwise, they wouldn't be using any podcast with data. They'd be going in the library, they'd be interviewing themselves. So when you hear people using words, you're going to know who they are. And when you hear the ones who are distorting it, well, at least I'm going to share with you all, to the best of my ability. Again, it's easy for ears to hear it, but you need to be an empowered woman, man, or they, meaning you own your own self. So again, nobody is able to disprove free will or God. They can make a good argument for all of it. They can't disprove. They actively, even in just a sentence in and of itself, it's kind of like the lack of imagination for evil that I heard. I'm just thinking, how many are going to take the word seriously? But I'm an empowered, grown woman who knows nobody can tell me anything about my faith or who I am or any of this. So I got lucky. And in fact, I do feel lucky. I feel lucky now. I also feel lucky because empowered masculines are awesome. They empower always a feminine. And when you meet the feminines or masculines who think that they are needed, it's actively ego. So here's a fun fact. From my story, one, with the Claires, I wasn't afraid. It wasn't destabilizing. I was aware that I would be not welcomed by groups of people. That's all. And that's okay, because I'm pretty sure it's not that bad compared to other eras. You know what I mean? Other times. So that's number one. Two, when I found out that I'm actively not needed, because there's really great therapists out there to support all people to get to that well-being. But I mean, I am needed. No, I can be wanted by those who want to do mindfulness, mindset, and be their self. So to continue that journey in a way of being joyful. Also, I am definitely here for the 5D Mystic Feminine and the 5D Mystic Masculine if they're interested, of course. But I, again, come to you as a feminine. So I know the feminine will be inclined to be the nurturer. So I will resonate with that. But there can be masculines that want to learn more about the feminine through a feminine. And that's an honor. It's always an honor in general. But I know that I'm definitely here to share with you all differences than what 4G talks about. which is really boring. So I find out that I'm not needed, and at first I'm like, "Aw," and they're like, "Yes, that means they're all saved. They all can choose their self. So technically, I can just have fun. And what's better than having fun with all of it than that weight on your shoulder?" And there's no weight. But then again, here's where I love my lovely therapist that I learned from. They have the same way of sharing how they feel about where they're at. And this is with integration of the brain, restored embodiment, because every person's embodied brain is already leading you home to yourself. And that's why when you resist life, it means you resist healing yourself. And let me spell it out. If you resist becoming an unconditionally loving person, how does that sound? Okay, so Zen Master, go do something with your laundry, because really, you should not do laundry. It's sadness. But FYI, this is where the masculines talk sense to the feminines, because we would love to see all people be their inner child adults. And the masculines always know that that's not going to actively happen. And then the feminine remembers that there's this infinite balance until we are actively expanding consciousness. And it's a sad truth that we are not in desperate despair about. It's just something that we are being aware about. And your lovely host here is trying to get out of continuing this conversation so that I don't bring too much blue and laundry into the room. So again, true authority, true love, true spirituality. It's a whole feminine, masculine, you, inner child adult, if you want to be. You don't have to be. You have plenty of other options and other soul age groups. Remember, please, Enlightenment Soul Age Group, we don't learn about the self through others. We are ourselves. So the relationships, societal soul age group, they learn about the self through those. Then there's another 2 or 3. Okay, so we have some souls, they're beginner souls. And yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to let this one go so I can make another late IHP show topic, because I had some stuff that I wanted to share with you all. In the meantime, thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful evening.